Sound is speeding. All right, guys, I want to welcome you guys back to the show. If you haven't tuned in, it's Draken Station. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. Surprisingly, we've been doing very, very well. And if you guys have any questions, you guys want us to talk about, chat about, type it in the comments below because we will definitely read it. And without further ado, I want to introduce my co-host, the man, the legend, the myth,
the legend,
everything, the shaman.
Get out of here.
Vince.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Hey, so today, speaking of that, have we received any comments of what people want to talk about, or is it just all weird, stupid comments?
Well, you have one friend that he gave you a shout, man. He's like, Vince, man.
What does it say?
Is
it good or bad?
No, it's good, man. He's just straight love, man. Straight love. Yeah.
On YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah.
I gotta check it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments in regards to like what we should talk about or anything like that, or
no,
any
man.
Any feedback? No. People are just watching it and
people just watching it,
moving on with their lives.
You know how it is, like your friends will watch it, but they won't like it, right?
Sometimes.
And then there's like 300 views, but
no one's giving feedback.
6 likes.
Except the haters. Haters will give comments.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of haters, no, just kidding. So what a horrible way to bring you in, huh? Jesus.
Yeah.
No, so I want to bring up Mars Bravo.
Yes.
A friend of mine.
How's everybody doing?
I'll let her talk about what she does, but I'll speak real quick on where we met. Where did we meet?
Ooh. I'm interested.
Let's see if I can remember properly, right? Bowling alley. Yes. Right? Everybody else was drunk and wasn't bowling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're on that. We were the only two that started the bowl.
Yes.
I believe so, right?
Yeah, and then we didn't have the proper shoes. We just started bowling with
bowling,
like,
right?
yeah.
And then you beat me.
I did.
Which I think to date, every time we've played,
I
mean, we've bowled, you've beat me.
Yes.
Which is not insane, but I'm not that good of a bowler anyways. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm gonna
And then
win.
how often are we drinking while we bowl too? Literally every time. So.
Yeah.
Makes it even better.
Well, we still order food and stuff. I mean, it's not like. Well,
I'm not saying alcohol plays a fact in our game abilities. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe in yours because you keep losing.
Maybe I'm not good.
Which bowling?
Maybe I'm just not good at bowling.
Which bowling alley do you guys go to?
We've gone to Bolero. I know that like twice.
The one in by the airport?
City.
Yeah, the one by the airport.
No, that's too far out. The one in Mar Vista.
Oh.
So the one we met
West
at was
LA.
the one in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Highland
For
Park.
Yeah, I was
like
gonna
a
say
birthday.
Huntington, right?
Of a mutual.
And then
well,
we found
now we know
out.
it's a mutual friend.
Yeah, and then after that we found out that we both rode motorcycles, and then we just been riding since then. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So
I would love to ride with you, but I have like a rice rocket.
She has a Triumph.
Oh, Triumph? Oh, shoot.
I
Yeah,
have,
nice.
and before that she had a Honda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have
now,
a Harley.
You had that
so.
750 now.
Now I kind of want that
Yeah.
little Harley just to cruise, you know what I'm saying?
That was cool. That was a cool bike.
Yeah.
So another funny thing is that I have taken photos of you with every single motorcycle you've ever had since I met you.
Nice.
And you have had a lot.
3 now. I'm on my 3rd
Damn.
one.
Dude,
I'm on my 4th, but
you have 4.
yeah, I've had 4. I've had 4 motorcycles. Now I have 2. I have the Harley and I have the KTM. Right? Yeah. So Mars, tell us about yourself. Your Instagram is signs from Mars or signs by Mars. Signs from Mars.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do before? Oh, tell us about yourself first.
Okay, so my name is Mars, and I'm a sign designer, and I also fabricate from time to time, but I mostly focus on the design aspect of things. But not too long ago, I decided to just go on my own little adventure and start my own business, and that's how I gave myself the name Signs from Mars, just because I thought it'd have like a play on words, being that it's my name, but it's also the planet, and people who don't know me would automatically think it meant from like out of this world.
Right.
And then you meet me and
From
be
another
like,
planet.
oh, what's Mars?
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
And,
so-
well, another play on words, you could be from out of this world too, right?
Right.
Who knows?
And so, but prior to that, I've worked at other sign companies,
Right.
which is where I actually got to learn my trade.
Your experience.
Because what I was studying before was just a lot of graphic design and illustration.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had pretty good jobs doing that. I just wasn't happy with it. So that one day I decided to go see what I actually wanted to do because I knew that what I thought I wanted just wasn't it.
Right. So when you say, let me ask you this. So when you say you were doing the design and graphics portion of it, right? Mm-hmm. You were working for other companies?
Yeah.
And
So
what did that entail? Like your daily, let's just say your daily job, or if you were contracted out for your projects.
When I was still
do?
doing graphic design, or when
Correct.
I was doing sign making for other companies.
Before you even got into sign making.
Oh yeah, no. I actually like one of the I guess one of the best gigs that I had scored was working for Golden Boy Productions, which is Oscar de la Hoya's
His
company,
promotion company, yeah.
And so I was doing all the graphic design for the posters for the fights.
Oh, nice.
But then like at first it was cool.
Right.
And so then I also had to set up the files for all the like promo logos around the ring, you know, like Fox and all that stuff like circles around the
everything,
LEDs.
literally
and stuff.
everything.
Yeah, like basically I had to set up the files for backdrops,
Right.
the posters, the billboards that they would print out.
So everything that from when people would park and they'd start walking into whatever arena, all the signage, even the digital signage, you from when they walked into all the way into the ring where it's Corona or Bud Light or whatever beer company, you designed all of that so every sign that everybody saw when they walked in, that was all you creating that whole thing.
Right.
Sick. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because I just had this revelation that I actually was in the sense designing signs since then.
Before.
But I didn't.
Right.
But I wasn't because that's funny.
And then they'd have everything made for.
Yeah.
Obviously, the digital, the file would get uploaded. To
That's all I did. I was just doing layout digitally.
Okay, cool.
You want to know something funny?
What's up?
I come from a photography background, so I'm all about composition. And when you design signs, even just texting, like words, there's like you gotta have good composition. Like the typography has to be a certain size. You don't want to overpower things.
Yeah, the scale.
It's
scale
for sure.
So
That plays a whole role in it, man. Right?
Much to it.
Like they're little artists, man. They put these together in the certain font, the right way, the right size.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Where it's imposed on
For
on
sure.
the image and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, when you're good, you're good, and people will notice.
When you're bad, well, people don't notice when you're good because.
Well, I think, like he said, he has a photography background, so he has a sense of composition and lighting and depth.
Right.
So he unconsciously sees what's good in a sign.
He'll pick it apart.
But
Like
now,
I don't see the words, I see the shapes.
exactly.
And then you just put the words there. I'm like, okay, the shapes. I can't explain. It's weird.
No,
Yeah,
I get
no,
it. Yeah,
I get
there's
it.
a bunch of
I
things
get
in
you.
there.
Yeah.
There's just even the colors in the background. Like let's say you
For
want
sure.
a purple smoky background. There's
Yeah.
images laid on top of each other just to get that.
Also, color-
and that's considered dead space almost to us.
Correct.
So when I was saying when people don't say anything, right? It's like when the layman person or just the person that's going to watch the fight looks at the sign. Oh, that sign looks cool. Boom, right?
Yeah.
But someone like him would pick it apart.
Yeah.
Right? So the people that don't say anything, right? The general people that
Like
walk
she
by,
has to work with the colors too. You
Right.
can't. Some colors complement each other.
Right.
Some don't.
Yeah.
And you got to know all that.
just
right?
like
Yeah.
any design, like when
do.
you're designing a shoe and shit.
Right.
Yeah. So
So it was super fun. I loved that job. I met really cool people. But it was like a very corporate environment.
right,
But like full on.
right.
And so there was like a certain way that I had to dress. There was a certain way that I had
So
to
you
act.
went to the corporate office every day.
Yeah. And even being the graphic designer, like I wasn't allowed to be any different than like somebody running a business in an office, you know, because
Right.
it was just, I had to play
Right.
the whole role. And and then so, you know, it was cool. I learned a lot from it. But then I just wasn't happy. They were paying me really good. It had really good perks to the job and everything, but
Go to all the fights.
yeah, not all of them, but I just wasn't happy with it. I think what started kind of like weighing on me was that at some point I started to feel like I was just someone's tool because I wasn't being allowed to be free with the artwork. I was just more cookie cutting what
Right.
somebody else was telling me to do, and just because they didn't know the software, I was the one actually doing it,
Right.
but they were telling me what to do exactly. So
Right.
I just kind of was like, okay, well, this is not really my
Listen,
thing.
all creatives go through that. Even for me,
Yeah.
it's easy for someone. Hey Joe, can you just re-edit that? But for me to go back and do all that,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
takes time.
Yeah.
It takes
They
so
think
much.
you're taking this one thing out and putting it in, and you're like,
and
no,
then
no,
magically
no, no.
it appears.
Yeah.
You're like,
For
no,
me,
no,
it's
no.
like, look, this is season 5. We're working up the kinks.
Yeah.
And we're only gonna get better.
Right.
I take feedback because that's how we get better. You know, I try
Yeah.
to please everyone, but at the same time, like there's a vision I have for this channel and for us. And I didn't want to be like everybody else,
Right.
because I gotta grab your attention the first 5 seconds, or you're gonna tune off. You know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, also because it kind of stabs you in the heart when you're the one who knows like very basic design 101 things that you just by law shouldn't break unless you're really doing something legendary. So it's like they're telling you to violate these rules that are so embedded in me already.
Right.
It was just like cringe, like fuck dude, like I don't want to do that because that's my work. And then when people see it and
Right.
whoever knows their stuff, they're gonna think poorly of me.
That's your trademark.
Yeah, so it's like no,
Crappy
and so
trademark.
eventually it was like okay, that was like really fun or whatever, but I had to like go and find myself.
So how long were you at Golden Boy?
I think it was like pretty short time. I don't want to say that it was more than 8 months.
Okay. How long ago was that?
That should be dating about maybe 6 to 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
ago, obviously.
in future.
In the future.
So after you left there, so did you have something lined up? Did you know what you were gonna
Absolutely
do?
not. So
Exactly.
everybody was like, "You've lost your freaking mind." You know, like how are you gonna like?
Support
By the
yourself.
way, if I don't know how much you remember of like 6, 7 years ago, the fucking employment was so bad in LA.
Right.
There was no jobs. It was just
Are you
like
talking about like 2007 housing crash?
No, like
No,
she's like
no,
7
no.
years ago, so
It
we're
was-
2020, so like 2013, 2014.
there was no work. It was just like dead.
Yeah.
And then the jobs that were there were just like god awful, super low pay, and just very like just not good.
Well,
and so
Yeah.
so I just was like, okay, I'm all in or nothing kind of person. Like I don't like to be like, oh, well, I have this little cloud to kind of fall in case it doesn't work, because I feel like that doesn't allow me to really push myself all the way if I have some like backup plan.
Right.
Which it could be probably bad, but it's worked for me so far to just go like all full force, right?
Right.
So I did it and I regretted it really fast. Like I couldn't find a job. I was running out of money. I didn't even have that much saved up. I just luckily, you know, I have a friend who has a gallery down the street at the last bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
And
A block away from me. That's where I live.
okay,
Yeah.
so he has allowed me to have my artwork up there for years. And I remember just like being like having no money and like having no job, and I'm like, what the heck did
Like
I
a
do?
struggling artist.
Yeah, like what everybody is right. Like I screwed up, and then one of my pieces sold. And I was like, oh, thank God, like I can pay my car payment with this. And like,
Sick.
it was just like those kind of like moments where I was just like, oh, I needed this. And I finally, I started applying, obviously I was applying to a bunch of places, and I got contacted by somebody, and they told me to come in. It didn't really say like what the job really entitled. It just said it had to do with like illustrating or drawing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, like I'll check it out. I was obviously desperate. And dude, so that was like the first sign company I ever worked for. So I go to this interview, and I park, and it's just kind of very obscure sort of front, you know, and I'm like, doesn't look like anything. You go to the back. As soon as I walk into this like kind of hidden door in the back, it was just like everything opened up for me. I was like, holy shit, this is it.
Like utopia.
Yeah, I was like, I made it. And,
This was just the interview, right?
right? And they're like, can you take the trash out for us? I've made it for sure.
This is where I want to be.
But it was just something about the environment, about the way that the whole place smelled. It smelled like paint with materials, like I can't explain it. There's
All
like
the stuff.
a scent that even like metal when you're bending it
Right.
has.
Yeah.
And
So
just,
all the stuff that all the materials and items that were needed for the fabrication process of the signs.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
because they were making signs, so they were painting, they were fabricating. That there was people designing on like a different room, and they had like a killer setup, and then there was like the salespeople, on the phone and like just making things happen, and it was just like this is dope. Like
Yeah.
I'm into this for sure.
Did you get the job?
Unfortunately, they pulled my leg. I worked there for 2 weeks, and they were like not paying me,
Oh,
and they
no.
were just like do this. So I was like, crap, I like don't know any of that. So I became friends with one of the head designers, and I just was like next to him all day, just learning everything that I had to know, because at the same time I felt like maybe they're just testing me or something.
Right. They want to see how good you do
Right.
or whatever the case may
But
be.
no, it turned out to be just
legit pulling your leg.
yeah, like legit.
Like, let's get some free labor for
Exactly.
this
That's
girl.
exactly what it turned out to be.
Typical.
And so then, obviously, I was like, well, I want to do this, but they're not paying me, so I'm just gonna go find a company. And now I know what to look for.
Right.
And so I did end up working for another sign company after that.
Now, do you think that this particular entity that you're speaking of, do you think that this is something that they did? They'd have someone work for like 2 weeks until they wash them out to get a couple weeks of labor out of people consistently?
Well, yeah, because now I didn't know anything back then, but it's like every industry, it suddenly becomes a really small world. Like I'm sure you know a bunch of photographers, I'm sure you know a lot of patrol, like security stuff.
Right.
That all of a sudden, it's just like a big world becomes so small.
Right.
So now that I'm in the industry, and like I look back and I know them and I know
Here's the
their
thing about-
reputation.
Right.
That's just how they play.
Here's the thing about what you just said. So there's two ways to learn, right? You either go to school and you learn it, because some people always ask me, do you need to go to school to learn what you do? And you don't, but someone's got to teach you. And if no one's going to teach you, you have to go to school. And what school does is just allows me to explain things in a scientific level to you. If you ask me a question why things are the way they are, I can explain it. But sometimes a lot of jobs, you go into it, they don't know your background, they don't, and like for you the case might be you don't know it, but you got to learn it. And for me, being a cinematographer, I watch the pros do it, man. I
Right.
just want to be on set because that's the only time I'm going to be next to Ari. You know what I mean? I was just sucking it all in because no one I knew had Ari.
Right.
Right. So you gotta put your time, but don't see it as you're not getting paid. You're getting paid with the knowledge,
Right.
and the
Right.
experience. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
the next time, like for
Yeah.
you're gonna know.
Well,
Yeah.
everything's an experience, right?
Correct.
So even if you walk away thinking it was a bad experience, for example, when you're like, I didn't get paid,
Right.
I did a bunch of crap for 2 weeks, you already knew what you picked up on what it was, and you started sponging off that.
Yeah,
off that.
most definitely.
Right.
I mean, I didn't feel like I was entitled to much, but I also had to pay my rent and stuff.
Right.
Like I'm like gonna
Yeah.
do work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, they don't know who you are. I could have easily been any lazy person that wasn't worth it.
Now, did they cut you a check at some point?
No.
Never.
Can I ask
Yeah.
you something? A question, Vince, because you work for Draken. So if you hire somebody, is it easier to fire? So what I'm asking is, let's say they would have hired her, put her on payroll. Would it be easier to let her go, or the reason why they kept her on is just to see? So then if they let her go, there's no hard feelings.
Well, we don't even know if they kept her on, if she even at the time, if she ever even filled out employment paperwork, right? And they put her in their payroll system. We don't know, right?
But let's say in theory they put her in the system. She did her W-2.
Right.
Would it? Let's say in a month or 2 weeks they decided, we don't need her. Is it harder to get rid of a person that way?
It's harder to get rid of after whatever probationary period that you develop as a policy within your company, right?
Yeah.
So the general rule that I've been taught after a while is hire slowly and fire quickly, right? Because if you know if you know someone's going to be a problem, like take your time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes we get put in a rut, right? And we're like, we need this guy, we need so many guards or whatever the case may be for this, and how are we going to pull off this account or pick up this account? We need to find guards, and we're rushing, and we rush and hire people, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to say a third, but there's a lot of individuals, right, that are not just doesn't work out for your company, right? Let's put it that way, right? But then you become comfortable. You stop searching for employees. So now you need to find another employee to replace that person, and now that person needs to violate your policies and procedures, your SOPs or whatever the case may be.
And SOP means
Standard operating procedures, right? In order to have warnings, right? And you need to have progressive discipline. Now you have progressive discipline, and which means you got to give them a verbal, you got to give them some kind of written, and say, and then, hey, if you do this again, right, then you're up to your subject to termination. So now the process becomes longer. If you take your time and hire the right people, they tend not to give you red flags and tend not to do certain things. And then what happens is, if you want to fire, so you make it very clear there's a probationary period. So if someone messes up in that probationary period, then you don't need to go through that as much of that progressive discipline and wait till they constantly mess up to terminate them.
Because as a freelancer, I'm hired and fired every day.
Yeah, it's typical,
like,
right?
If I don't perform, I'm gone.
They don't even call you.
They already have someone in the back.
They're just like, just don't come.
Yeah.
Just don't come the next day.
Yeah, you
right?
just.
We won't need you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's because I guess there's so many people in your industry that are looking for the next job. For us, it's a little harder, right? Because they have to have the qualifications. You can say that they have the qualifications, but that could lose us an account, right? So if I send a new guy or a new girl and they absolutely screw up and they go, dude, these are the employees you're going to bring us, these are the guards you're going to bring us, they're like, you know what, let's and sometimes they won't tell you why. So just say, hey, in 30 days we're terminating the contract, right? So you risk a lot more. In your industry, it's more expected because I've done like I did part of that movie, shooting that movie, and I'm just seeing the wild characters that are there, you know. And some people are really good at their jobs, but they cause a lot of conflict on the sets and stuff like that for no reason whatsoever, right? And in your industry, I can see why they have people just ready to go. Like, hey, we'll call somebody else.
The crazy part is in the creative industry, we have to play together.
Right.
Like, there's so much creative minds and everyone has their input.
Right.
But you gotta have one captain and we all gotta follow suit.
Right.
Because we're replaceable if you really think about
Yeah.
it. Unless
And
you're like that good.
Right.
Well, even then, you know, you have your
If you don't
15
play
minutes
well,
of fame, and then you gotta keep up with it. You know.
And if you don't play well with others,
Yeah.
right, then
Yeah.
you just get cast out of the group. I mean, that happens in the military too, as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody, you know, I mean, you've seen the military movies. The guy that doesn't conform with everybody else always catches crap, right? Or even if you go to schools, there's some schools where you can get peered out. So if for some
You
reason
can't sit with us.
seats taken, right? So if you don't play well with others, right, they can vote you out of the school. I just be like, we don't. He's just
So basically,
he's not a team
just don't
player.
suck at life, no matter what you do.
I think this goes back to even our last podcast. Is a lot of times just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Right? I think we mentioned that in our
Essentially.
last podcast. Right?
It's hard
Yeah.
for some people though.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I get accused
Being
of
a
it all the
dick
time.
is
so.
all they know.
Right. So Mars, back on Signs, and then you worked for this company for 2 weeks, right? And then where did you go after that?
I found actually a real job at a sign company after that, and I was there for a little over a year, and I just was like full on obsessed mode. And I went like on my own. I started just learning as much as I could. And I started hanging out with the people that were working there, like just trying to learn what they knew, you know. And then you try to get all the information, learn everything, and then you can kind of filter like what's legit and what you shouldn't do.
Right.
But when you're just learning everything, you just take it all in, and then with time and experience, then you filter things out, right?
Right.
And so, unfortunately, the industry at the level, like I want to say like a small, medium level size companies for signs,
Right.
they have a very funky reputation. Like I don't know, like they.
I mean, are the companies coming up and going down constantly, or is
No, it's more like they have this weird like con artist type of
okay.
like thing going
like
on.
you're not going to get your values worth when you when you
Yeah.
bring a company in, because it seems like a lot of stuff is overpriced.
No,
from the client's
it's not
perspective?
that. It's like literally they'll take your money and you don't get your sign.
Oh, okay.
and then
I
and then
gotcha.
they, you know,
So it's not even like you feel like you're overpaying.
No,
you just
no,
feel
no,
like
no,
they're
no.
never gonna see you later. They're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so it's that, and then also just like doing half-ass jobs when it comes to like installations, for example.
Right.
And then you expect your sign to look awesome, like in the rendering. Like if I made you a badass rendering, I sold you the job because you saw it,
Right.
and now you can't stop like thinking about how cool it's gonna
It's
look.
like what you said in the last episode about the tattoo artists. You gotta trust them,
Right.
man.
You gotta trust them,
and
right?
then
And
so
if they
then
give you a
you're
bad
already
job-
waiting. You're like, oh my god, like this is 3 weeks. I get this
Dope
dope
ass
ass freaking
sign.
sign.
Yeah.
And then you just get this like,
You get a
Meh.
sticker.
It's like, man.
yeah, you get like a, Allie's version of it or something, and it's like, what the heck? And then like in 2 weeks it doesn't light up and stuff like that because they
So-
just conned you basically.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
for the viewers out there that don't know, if you go to her Instagram, Signs from Mars, correct? When Vince gave me the IG, I went to go look. I mean, her signs. If you like neon signs, I don't know anybody that makes signs, right?
Right.
So when I saw your Instagram page, my head is like, I know what I want. I'm gonna talk to her about that after. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And if you guys have a chance, go to her IG. I will put the link below.
Yeah, please do check it
And
out.
very talented. The lighting, if you like lighting, which
Yeah.
I do, because I'm a
Right.
cinematographer. That's all I do is lighting. But amazing,
Yeah.
amazing work. I gotta
So-
give a shout out.
So that, that was one of the things that I filtered out, and I was like, okay, like, I don't want to keep having to have my face or like people angry at me for obviously something I have no control over.
Right.
So I continued on, got another job at a different company, and there I had worked for a little over 5 years.
And now this is the person we're talking about, your most recent employee
Right.
before you left. Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's where I really just fully committed, like even more.
Right.
I read more stuff. I went to like sign expos. I contacted people from like all over the country to just teach me stuff or send me things. I made friends in the industry from other states, all kinds of age ranges and stuff. There's people that have like 30, 35 years on me easily on
Right.
doing this. And that to me is just like, I love that, and the way that some things are still just so classic. Like you don't want to do things different because it's changing, with technology, with LED screens, with the tools that they're coming out with and stuff like that. It's changing a lot, but there's a lot of stuff that is still very classic and everybody still respects a lot.
Right.
And so it's nice to see these people that have been doing this for 35 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, and they are still very true to those things. And that's like, to me, I value that. So I'm keep some of those things when I
So
do
the
my
art
signs.
the art hasn't changed much. It's just how you produce the art has changed.
Well,
Just
the tools
yeah,
change.
the
Just
tools.
like guns get better,
Right.
but you still gotta know how to
Shoot.
work it.
The fundamentals.
Right? Yeah.
And also the materials, like the way that they work together or how long they'll last.
Right.
And then also just, you don't know if it's like if something's temporary for like an event, you don't have to go and sell somebody a $6,000 sign
Right.
when they're going to use it for one night.
Right,
So you
right.
can use materials that are going to last for that night and look really good.
Right.
That you're not even going to know that it was made out of compressed foam, for example,
Right, right,
because
right.
they're getting so good at making these materials
Right.
that they would stand a night of partying and then they look awesome and they have to be cost effective.
So give the viewers like a time frame. I come in, I call you, we sit down. From that process, how long does it take for me to get the actual?
Well, it
Yeah.
depends on the sign. Right?
Yeah, it
That's the
depends
first-
on the sign,
Like that,
obviously,
Give,
like-
give the.
If it's like
Let's
something,
go. Let's pick neon for example.
well,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
just do like, let's say you just got like a bakery,
Okay.
right? You're
Alright.
gonna start making some freaking cakes, and you just need
Joe likes cakes.
a simple sign in front of your store.
Right.
Okay, let's just take it like in that range.
And we're not talking about like a vinyl freaking banner, right? We're
No,
we're talking
no,
about
like
legit
an
sign.
actual,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
pull the light and it turns on.
Yeah. So that, like, give or take, the whole process from like you hitting me up and then us working on the design and like all that stuff, and plus production and installation. And then if it's outside, it's gonna need city permitting. So
Man, it's
all
deep.
that can take anywhere from like 4 to like 6 weeks, give or take. So it's
And the only reason why I
pretty-
asked because I saw her work, and like I said, I'm a fan.
Right.
Like I don't even own a store, but in my studio, It needs some lights, man. Some
Oh,
cool lights.
cool
Yeah.
little neon thing going on the
dude.
wall.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Sick,
It's,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a neon sign in my apartment.
in her Instagram, she holds it, and I'm like, man, I want to hold it. I feel like
It's like a new toy, right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
no, no.
something nice and shiny.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let me just, can I have you? What are you
It's
gonna do with
just
it? I have no
fun.
idea.
As a
I just want
photographer,
one.
It's just
like,
fun.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
still a
it's fun.
photographer at heart, right? When I see lights, like neon lights, I have ideas that go through my head. Oh, I could do this with it. I could
Can
do
I
that.
hold that sign?
Can I hold that sign? Yeah, it's like a gadget or something, like for a guy, right? Like toys, like, things that they like whiskey glasses with bullets in them, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's
Super
so cool,
cool.
right? Oh, how many times, if we weren't using them, literally, if I had them in the cupboard, they would sit in the cupboard forever, right?
Yeah.
And people would be like, what
And
are you using
by the
this
way, you
for?
guys are low, so better refill.
Yeah, no, I know.
Take
It
it
looks
easy.
bad on camera.
Our whiskey guy
Promise
over
me
here is,
tacos here.
right?
It's bad on camera,
We'll
dude.
get tacos after for sure.
Yes.
So let me ask you this,
So
Mars.
yeah, it takes like 4 to 6 weeks, give or take, and that's pretty doable because a lot of people think like you just have it in your pocket already for some reason.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then they're like, "What? Like I'm opening in like a week." I'm like, "Well, you should have called
Yeah.
6 weeks ago."
Yeah.
And so you sometimes can move your schedule around to try to work
Accommodate.
with them. But there's certain things you just can't rush,
Right.
like
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Like
The metal's gonna melt when the metal melts. No,
Well,
right?
do you remember Toy Story when they called this toy guy to repair Woody?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "How long is it gonna take? How long is it gonna take?" And the guy goes, "You can't rush art." Like I always think of that scene in my head when
You tell
are
people
like,
that and they
I
don't know what the
say
hell you're
it.
talking about?
I don't say it.
They're
I
like,
just think it.
So let me ask you this: what's the biggest misconception people have? Is it the time frame?
It's
usually?
definitely the time frame.
Right.
And also like how it's made. And so that's one of the things that I've been trying to focus on when I started my own company, is to show that more, like display that more, the process of the making.
Right.
Because it's fun, number one, to see it come from a sketch to something tangible.
The process, yeah.
And then two, then it gives kind of opens a window to see like how much work it goes into it, so people are more reasonable when they're asking for this kind of thing.
Right. They're more they have more a logical sense of what it
'cause
takes.
I don't blame them for thinking that it's already in a shelf, like, you know.
You don't have this pre-cut and
Right? My
pre-designed.
custom
right?
logo that I
Yeah.
designed yesterday, you don't have it already?
Like
We live in Insta world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can just get on off Amazon, can I?
Yeah.
I'll just go off of Amazon and just.
Right, okay.
Yeah, if you want a standard open sign.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's like basic things like that, but
Right.
we're talking like custom.
Yeah.
You know.
Anything custom. You watch American Choppers, one of my favorite shows. I mean, just watching fabricated.
Hold on
I'm
a
like,
second.
damn.
Hold on a second. American Chopper, right? How old is that? You gotta be watching something new, dude.
Bro,
What is that,
I'm
like-
38, you know that.
I mean, but you're talking about OC Choppers or American Choppers, one of those. Man, you got to get up on the game, dude. You're
I'm
watching.
sorry, man.
You're watching shows that are like 10 years old, and she's like my favorite show.
I'm
Are
sorry.
you gonna let him talk to you like that?
No, he's right because there's truth to it,
Look, I
man.
have a bullet in this
I felt
guy.
like all the new stuff, the new music.
Doesn't interest you.
I-
You're like,
I-
nah, I'm
I-
good.
I-
I'll go
I
back
got
to my
lost,
reruns
yeah.
of OC Choppers and
Yeah,
stuff.
man.
American
No, because
Choppers.
it's like what she said. I appreciate the art, man.
Right.
Like
That's awesome.
Like
Yeah.
I watched the idea, and you know these guys, they don't have a
template.
storage room where
yeah,
all the
yeah.
parts just come. They're putting it together.
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
when he made this fireman his red with the axe. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
Right.
damn.
Yeah,
I'm
he has
not
to
a
make
fireman, but I want that
from,
bike.
from scratch.
Yeah.
Now I remember one of the important parts of that TV show is they actually I want to say they redid some stuff for a Cadillac, like as CTS or something, right?
Oh,
And
like a part that just didn't exist
Didn't
anymore?
exist.
Oh, that's
What?
cool.
so you know how now they did a bunch of things on this car, but they did the tail lights with the long subtle like light, like a LED, but it's just like a long tube almost, like a warm light instead. And they did that from scratch off of LEDs before they even had them now. Like
Nice.
Amazing.
How you look on the back of the cars now, it's like one line.
Right.
So the Cadillac CTS had like a regular bulbs, and then what they did is they they put a bunch of LEDs, but then you still had those like the dots from the LEDs,
That's
right?
so
Shining.
cool.
So he's like, how can I make it look like one smooth line? And I can't remember the process that he did it, but he did that.
Diffusing it
Yeah,
in
diffusing
some
it with
way.
maybe like a acrylic rod or something. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did that, and I was like, see that.
You
The
know-
fact that he can, the fact that he can switch from motorcycles to cars and with the same artistic
Yeah.
and still be able to fabricate something
Yeah,
like that, insane,
dude,
insane.
so cool.
Yeah. So, go ahead, John.
No. That's why I appreciate people who are hands-on, because I feel there's nothing we cannot make at this stage of the game. We're not in the 60s where we don't know, right? I feel like if you can dream it, someone can make it.
Yeah,
You just gotta find that
absolutely.
someone.
Yeah.
And then when you
So
find
find
that
the
someone,
person.
with the right price, you
Right.
can have it.
Right.
Am I right?
Well,
Oh yeah, for sure.
That just made me think, like, I don't know if I read it or something, but when they were making the Tesla, it's got that, what is it, 17-inch touchscreen inside?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So they, Elon was like, okay, we're not gonna have any buttons anywhere. We're not gonna have anything. It's just gonna be the screen.
Right, no tactile
And it's gonna
buttons.
be 17 inches, or is it 17 or 15?
It's
Whatever.
pretty big.
Whatever.
So,
It was bigger than anything they had at the moment.
Or
in the
anything we
industry.
ever seen.
Right. So then the kid who was like in charge of this, like, goes online, starts like looking up like screens and stuff, because they were doing like what do you call it?
R&D.
No, like what's the word when you make a model?
Prototype.
A prototype,
Yeah.
yeah. And so he's looking online just to like buy one and like hook it up somehow, blah blah. And so he goes back to Elon Musk and he's like, I couldn't find any. And he just goes, well,
Make me one.
yeah, I know that. It doesn't exist. Make it.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, oh shit, oh okay. So it's like, that's what you meant.
Right. Now you have to know. Now you have to find out how a screen is made, right? From
Oh,
layer
dude,
to
that's
layer,
what,
right?
I'm like so
Yeah.
obsessed with Tesla, but not only because they're making an electric car, like the stuff that they've managed to make
Right.
that has never been done before
I think
successfully.
just even with the batteries at the base of the
Even
vehicle
like
and
that
the frame
glass,
and stuff like that.
the way that they bent that whole glass
Yeah.
all the way
Well,
through the car.
this is mind blowing. So you guys
Crazy.
know, I think it was yesterday when they launched.
Yes. Well, they
Look at the
postponed
damn
it.
suit.
Yeah.
Dude.
Give me one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, how sexy was the suit?
Yeah.
I saw the
That's too
suit
good.
and I'm like, I want Vince. Come on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. For
No,
sure.
it's too good.
Compared to Apollo 13.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what the hell was that? That looked
Right.
like a diaper.
Right.
And now they're like,
Yeah.
they-
It looks like
Slick.
how it's supposed to look.
yo,
Yeah.
they look solid. Can we
Definitely.
agree with that? You saw that.
It looks like they can go clubbing and then go
For sure.
to space like
Right,
in an
right.
hour.
It looks how like everybody had envisioned spacesuits at the time. Like
But we need that, man.
that's what happens when you put a creative. What happens is when you get an engineer to design something, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's going to be solely functional, right?
Right. So then you need the design
Then you
aspect.
need the design aspect of, and then that's where I'm not a subject matter expert, but I've listened and watched enough to know that the engineers and the designers always butt heads,
100%.
right? Because
Every
the
company.
engineers have to make. Okay, that's great that you made it that shape or
Yeah.
you made it this way,
Yeah.
but functionally that doesn't work. So now they have to come to a middle
So
ground
true.
to make it work.
Can I change the subject real,
No.
real quick?
Just
Just real
kidding.
quick.
Go
Just real
ahead.
quick. So
But hold that
whoever
thought.
whoever
Hold it.
designed whoever designed the Prius.
Please, thank you. Are you gonna say something bad?
No. Whoever designed the Prius, the 10 people who sat in the room and gave the okay, like, oh
Right.
my god, that design is
That looks
blow
that looks
away.
fabulous, right?
Like what?
Are you saying that it sucks?
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
like the
give-
design.
It's ugly.
Yes.
It's
up
ugly.
here.
No.
It is
Look,
hideous.
Okay, it's been ugly.
No.
I
Look.
I feel hate when I see Prius.
No. The thing is this. You can design any shape you want. Cool.
Yeah.
But were they high? I mean, 10 people sat in a room and they said
It was the
oh my
engineers.
god, this
It
is
was the engineers.
Yeah.
The engineers
Definitely
definitely
was.
designed
this
it.
is blow away.
Look, 'cause
God,
they go,
it's terrible.
this is what they did. They said, this is the design that's going to get the least wind drag. Okay? Yeah.
Because you shouldn't drive it. That's
Yeah.
why.
And it looks
Just
hideous,
leave
right?
it parked.
It's
Because when you look at the companies that do well, Apple, simple, sleek, timeless.
Right.
Bose, simple, sleek, timeless.
Right.
Tesla is in that realm now.
Right.
Like their cars like can stood the test of time.
Right.
They age really well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard
Yeah, it's hard telling
balance.
the difference from one that's brand new
Right.
to like 5-6 years ago.
Am I right?
They look similar.
They,
Yeah.
they look similar and
And it's not a design that's going out of style like really
Yeah.
right away.
Right.
And
It's
his-
not dated.
his car is like an app. So when the new software comes out, you download it, boom,
Right.
it's like a new car.
But
Yeah.
you wish the body parts were like that?
Yeah.
Any new style? Like, I like the fenders on
I think
that
they
one.
could do it,
Bam.
man.
They probably could.
But for us, like, do you want another $400 for that fender? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
$400.
you're like-
You're talking about like probably like $3
Yeah,
grand.
yeah,
something
Yeah,
around there.
easily.
Yeah, 400. I wish it was 400. You didn't even
You're like, take
drive a
my money, I
Toyota
don't care.
Corolla, freaking fender's not even $400 nowadays.
No, the Toyota Corolla, I don't hate on that design. The Prius, like who signed off on that and said this is it, guys?
Hey.
You get a raise.
Right.
Like no, if I was in that room, I would be like,
That's just all
I'd
ugly.
be like, boss.
That's all ugly
That's just
cars in
fucking
general,
ugly, man.
right? That's
That
all
shit's-
ugly cars.
I would
in
just
general.
run in there, take the paper where it was already sketched out,
Okay.
burn it.
Okay, now let me
Run away and never come back.
Let me transition the Prius to American cars. American cars, and I'll pick on the Mustang. The buttons.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so freaking cheap. You ever press have you been in a new Mustang?
No.
No.
The
I
buttons.
have, but I didn't press the buttons.
Oh my
You
god.
don't press another man's buttons in his car.
Oh.
They still got like the damn dials.
Don't press.
Oh, the rotary buttons and stuff like that.
Dude, it pretty much is just cheap, bro.
Yeah.
It's like the cheapest material they can find, they freaking threw it in there.
So
They
so
found
when you
it.
actually touch it and interact with it, it feels like cheap plastic. Or
It's
something.
just cheap, bro.
Yeah, I
It's
gotcha.
just cheap.
You know, Chevy did that for a long time, right before the bailout, and their vehicles were crap. Like
Well,
the
yeah,
plastic
wearing
was-
their seatbelts like coming off or something random.
Yeah, but it was just like, and I was just talking to somebody else about it the other day. I was like, when everybody else was already using LED lights and their tail lights and everything,
Yeah.
Chevy was still using those
The bulbs?
the bulbs that you like
That you can't touch with
two-
your finger hooks.
yeah,
so
2019 at AutoZone for like $293. You can replace the bulb.
The fact that you know the serial number.
Yeah, or whatever the model number
It
is. You
seems
know.
personal now. Are
Yeah,
you okay?
exactly. Oh, it's funny. I've never owned a Chevy though, but
Okay.
I've known enough about it. Yeah, but yeah. So
But it's true what you said about designers and engineers like not looking eye to eye sometimes, because in the industry that happens too. Like obviously right now I'm a one-man show, so
did you say one man or woman show?
I said both.
Okay,
What?
yeah.
Okay. So I fight with myself. No, I'm just kidding. But before when I was in like working with like a company with the team and stuff, for example, like the salesperson, a lot of the time, they're doing their job. They're selling you because that's what they have to do, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're like, okay, like I'm in, let's go. So then they take you to the design process, right? And so then the designer comes up with this like killer idea. But if you're just like a graphic designer,
Right.
and you're not like a dimensional designer, then yeah, it looks cool on paper and we can print as many copies as you want from the printer. But when it comes to making, like, yo, how are we gonna
is there a
hold it?
mold? Is there?
Well, like, it's like, how is that gonna, like, you see it and it's like, oh yeah, I like it, but how is this gonna hold to that? And how do you intend on putting that there? And and you didn't consider all the elements
Right.
that go into the actual, like, fabrication and the way that things are gonna
Right.
come together.
For example.
So then it screws up, like, the designer will be like, oh, here, and then the client approves it.
Right.
And then you have to like look stupid
And go
and
back to the
go
client
back
and
and
be
be
like,
like,
"Hey, we
hey,
can't do
by the way, we gotta change this and this and that because I just found out that we can't do this and that.
Right.
And it's just like you don't want to look dumb like that. So it's really important that for like what I do, that I have knowledge of materials, how they work, what they're capable of doing. Even like the type of wall that a sign's gonna go on, like drywall versus concrete versus brick.
Structurally, what's gonna hold it up and stuff. Right?
And then like the size, like there's only like certain materials only come in certain size before you have to join them if it's gonna be like past that, right?
Right.
Or even if it's too small and you want something fabricated, it's like, well, it's way too small. We can't fabricate it like that.
Right.
And so you have to know
You'd almost
these
have
things.
to hand make something when it's too small.
Well, no, it's like some material, even like the radius of the bend, it's not
okay.
gonna allow you to even
Right.
like do
I got
something.
you.
You
Then.
know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. So if it's really small and you're using a certain gauge still, you're not gonna get that bend that you want.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's like all those little things that you have to have in the back of your mind all the time as a dimensional designer.
Right.
But then I feel like you can't really learn that until you do it.
Well, you do the back end stuff.
Well, yeah,
Right.
because like I spent, the 5 years like obsessing over all this stuff.
For example,
But like he said, I couldn't learn this like in school when I was doing, it helps that I have graphic design background and I know stuff like that and the software and stuff. It helps a lot. But when it comes to things like that, you just have to literally be there, see it happen.
Most trades that you do that require you using hand-eye coordination, fabrication, hands on anything like that, you cannot learn strictly out of a book. Even doctors, they go to work for. I mean, they go to school for how many years?
Yeah.
And then they have to do internship, right?
Right.
And then before they go, they can't just go. Oh, you learned everything out of the book that we.
Okay, then
You're
operate
good
my
to go.
heart.
It's kind of
You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
it's
where's
kind of like
this do?
cinematography, right? So you can learn all how to have a good image, but no one tells you the camera's like 30 pounds.
Right.
Like you're like,
You're like,
or what lens to
you're
use.
like, does this come with protein?
exactly. You better lift some weights because I know you want to do all this, but
Yeah.
mind you, the camera's like 30
Well,
pounds.
but also like even more descriptive. What lens?
Yeah.
What filter? Right. What settings you have to have it on?
And why though? Like,
Yeah.
what are you trying? What
What?
kind of feeling, emotion, or like, do you want something
So
high
for
end?
the people
one
out
that's
there.
shooting faster, one that's shooting slower.
Correct.
Right? When you want to grasp frames per second,
But
all that
even
stuff, right?
even when you're
So like in a
breaking those
nutshell,
rules-
if you go wide, I invite you to my world.
Right.
Like when we go wide,
Right.
you tell the audience this is the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If I do close, I just want them to focus on you.
Right.
So if you have an idea or thought, you want to go close, right? And then, if when you go wide, obviously a lot of things are in focus, so you gotta be mindful. If you don't want that shit in the picture, especially if you're doing a timepiece 50s, you can't have a Tesla roll by.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah.
you want to stay from wide angle lenses because you're gonna see that car.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or something
So,
in the
I mean,
background
it's just
that
like-
someone's gonna catch later
For
on.
sure. Yeah.
Right, and
Right.
then
Be like,
it's
look at
online.
the
Yeah.
top 10 mistakes in this
Yeah.
movie.
For
or
sure,
something,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah. So let me.
Those are fun though.
I know those are awesome. I watch those all the time. They kill time so awesome, right? So my what I was gonna go back to as far as the questions, as far as you knowing all these things, right? It's like if I were to say, hey, I want a neon sign, but I only want it to be overall like 6 inches thick. You'd be like, impossible, right? Because let's just give an example.
Right.
Because you know the clearance it takes just behind the sign, right? So like basic neon sign, or even LED's a lot thinner, but basic neon sign, how much clearance would you need behind the actual rest of the sign to accommodate for all the rest of the neon coming out in electronic components?
Yeah, like, so it depends on how you, like, if you wanted the transformer to be part of the piece so that,
Or plugged in
or
behind
plugged
somewhere
in
else.
behind, or like through the wall.
Let's say I want all the components inside the sign, and then the only thing that's going to come out is your power cable to wherever you're going to, if you're going to.
So, like, you have to consider the depth of the transformers, right? So you're talking about a little over 2 inches.
Right.
And then you got to consider like the small gauge of, let's say I make you like an aluminum backing, like a box where it hides all the wires and everything.
Right.
So the gauge, right? So it'll be maybe like a little less of, like, let's just say a little less than 1/8 of an inch, right?
Right.
And then the stands
And what
for
is
the
that?
neon.
Like 6
Well,
gauge
it's
or
like
something?
you
or-
can use like 0.92, like 0.092 or
Right.
0.063.
Okay.
Just depends. And then the stands for the neon are about 1 inch or so, and then the neon for like the standard 12 millimeter diameter one
tubes.
tubes, they are gonna add about another 1/2 inch. So you're talking every single time I need about like 3.5 to 4 inches.
Behind the actual sign.
No, like in total,
Right.
including
Oh, okay. Including
the
the
tube.
exposed portion. Okay, gotcha.
So about 2 inches
That's
or
not
so.
bad, actually.
Would it be easier if you just told her like what you want and then let her figure all that out?
Well, see, that's what I'm.
Well,
This is what I'm trying.
sometimes I need to know that stuff.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because
All right.
then, if, for example, like, I don't know, let's say you want to put it behind where you're at,
Right.
and then this door opens like a certain amount.
Okay,
Right.
that's fair.
Like, we have to know where it's gonna clear, otherwise you're gonna open the door and break it, sort of thing. You
Right.
know, like, so there's a lot of factors that play into
Right.
things like that. But if you said something that I already knew off the bat, like, nah, dude,
Yeah, I
that's-
can't do it.
Yeah, so
Right.
then I would just then suggest like a different approach to it, where you still be happy with it, and we can kind of like, you know, combine different.
I have a really
concepts.
good question. The neon signs. How do you get the lighting in the tube? Like
Well, it's
The
when you're
neon?
be-
It's a reaction.
The neon?
yeah, like
Yeah.
when you know how they bend it, right?
Yeah, it's a reaction with the gas.
What is it like? Phosphorus or
No, what's
something?
neon?
So did
It's
you,
neon.
you do all that? You put the wiring in and gas it up, or I don't know.
Yeah, so there's no wire inside the glass tube.
Wow.
It's a neon
just-
gas, and then when the electricity makes contact with it, yeah.
It's
Dope.
literally like it comes in like long, empty tubes.
Cylinders.
That you can heat and mold?
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it already comes to you guys. It already comes pre like the color you want, and it comes in the tubes already.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like the tube already comes. Some of it already comes powdered from the inside.
Right.
To the color that it could be.
Right.
But you can also use like argon and then create a different color reaction when it lights
So
up.
argon is a gas.
And so is neon.
Right.
And so, for example, a lot of the times you can see when the neon sign is off. Let's just say, for example, the tube looks yellow,
Right.
but then when it lights up, it's green.
Right.
So you're making like a different reaction.
So the coating on the inside is yellow,
like
and
a
you're putting a
powder.
blue one in to make that green neon when it actually turns on.
Kind of, yeah.
Gotcha.
And so that's one thing that happens. Another thing that happens is the classic neons, the actual glass is that color.
Okay.
And so they look richer, but they're more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
So then even in the daytime, whatever color
Exactly.
exists, you're gonna see that on the
yeah.
on the
So
glass.
if it's off, it'll look red. If it's on, it'll look red. If it's off, it looks blue.
So that's how
If
you
it's
know the
on-
difference between the classic neon and the new neons. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I mean, but they're cool because they're classic, and if it's part of your design for it not to lose the color when it's not on,
Right.
then you try to like push for that. But because it's pricier, a lot of the time you have to just settle.
And I'm assuming is it a stained tube or is it actual paint on the tube itself?
There's both.
There's both. And stained is probably more expensive because you're getting that infused into the glass, right?
Yeah, because I've seen some stuff that's painted that looks classic.
Yeah.
But it's painted.
But it's painted.
Yeah.
They get this. It gets the same effect. But to me, I wouldn't know. To you, you would see that and be like, oh, they saved some money on
Even
that.
from far away, you can't tell. You can tell when it comes to repairing it, and you try to match it, and it won't match. Or when it gets old.
I'm
it
wondering
starts
when
to
she
chip.
goes to like bars, she looks at all the signs.
Oh yeah, for sure. She does that daily, dude.
Yeah,
I've
she's just
been
like-
on motorcycle rides with her.
like she's
And
she's
like,
mad.
oh, that sign
You're
sucks.
like, Mars, what's wrong? Like nothing,
Yeah.
just a
I
sign.
mean,
It's the way they made it.
Most
It's
of the
pissing me
time,
off.
I do admire people's work, and I like to see stuff that I like when I'm just around the city.
Right.
And then I try to like stalk it down online to see who made it.
Oh yeah.
And then
So you go that far, huh?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I do. And then I find out like so and so company did it or so and so artist did it.
Yeah.
And then
Because when it's good work, someone will claim it, right?
well, yeah, they'll be all over their page and
Right.
And then
Or like tattoo artists.
yeah.
Have all their old tattoos. Their
Or
good
even
work.
guns. I'm sure if you could look at a gun from far away and be like, I know what kind of gun is that.
Well, the brand. That's just because they all have.
No, but
certain
you can.
characteristics.
Me, I just see a gun.
Yeah, same.
That's all I see.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Right.
You'll probably be like, oh, that gun, the characteristics.
Yeah, true for the most part. Yeah, there's so many new guns, dude. There's so many new guns that are coming out. You're just
One day we're gonna be so famous, man. I'm gonna go to a gun manufacturer and be like, let Vince design a gun. I want to see his artistic.
dude.
And then
gun.
he's gonna be
What
like,
would he
well, he's
do?
not an engineer, so
But you can sketch it.
yeah, I can sketch it. I want it to
Yeah.
look like this.
Yeah.
Probably look like some space age gun or something.
Yeah.
That's
Something like
cool.
guns should be looking like now.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you'll design a hell of a gun, dude.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
Practical, but look cool.
Right.
Like
right.
stealth,
Somebody
matte
like-
black or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Mars, you went on and started doing your own thing.
Yes. Everybody clap.
Yeah. And let me ask you this real quick.
you.
Okay. And I kind of remember when it happened, but let me ask you this.
Wait, okay, I'm scared.
No.
Okay.
We're not going to divulge too much information because just like in my business, I can't divulge too much information, right? But the things that you developed is all the contacts of the people that already fabricate the materials or have the materials, or for example, like for example, Joe had mentioned like motorcycles, right? And if I don't have a pipe bender to bend the pipes to the frame I need, right? Then you made so many contacts with those individuals now that you're able to pretty much essentially do what you were doing before, but you're on your own.
Right. So I sort of, you can see it like I created a team that I rely on, and then I continue to look for people who can meet the standards that I want to reach.
Right.
So if they're better, awesome. But if they're just like where I want it to be in terms of quality or like, you know, even relying on them,
Right.
then I'm just like more than happy to work with people like that and be able to, you know, bring them more work too. But then because I'm so involved in the design and like the whole like dealing with the client and like the timing and all the stuff, it has to be, for me, it has to be like full on. I have to rely on you.
Right.
You have to be honest with me and communicate with me so I can work things out. So unfortunately, I feel like that's hard to expect from people.
Right.
I don't know if it's always been like that or if it's just like that now.
Well, I mean, you're in the business, so you know that some people have multiple projects that they're working on at the same time too. That can be the
Yeah, but
one of
I
the
don't
most.
think it's so much that. I think it's just like being able to. It's a team. Like they,
Right.
even though like, you know, they're your vendors and stuff, it still has to be in a way like you still have to have communication and
Yeah.
like.
Oh, so yeah. So you're saying that the common courtesies that most professional businesses will provide, right?
Right.
Just like, hey, call me if there's something going wrong.
Yeah,
Or
and
like
so-
if there's a delay on something, or you can't find this material.
Yeah.
So then we can try to find a substitute.
Yeah.
Just proper communication.
Yeah.
Just be
'cause-
professional is what
Right.
you're saying.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of the time now, that's like what I see a struggle with. It's like, dude, come on, like, and then I call so and so, and they tell me this and that. I'm like, well, that's cool. Like, I'm not mad. You should have
Right.
just told me like a
Exactly.
week ago. You know?
Yeah. So we can figure out what to
Right.
do. Right. How to attack it.
But
right.
now I feel like I've built like a pretty cool team that's working for me right now, and I continue to again like just like try to search for more people that have really great skill and that we can work together and get things done. And because like when you check out my content that I'm putting on my Instagram, for example, it's very intimate in the way that I look at signs and the way that like I get to experience it.
Right.
So I'm having fun providing that for everybody else to see.
Right.
And because I'm like there all the time, I feel like now it's kind of created more of a like, okay, like a closer sort of group where
Right,
like
right,
they're
right,
cool
right.
with me filming, and like what if I see something on the spot while we're making it, then I can correct it.
So your clients, and not only your clients, but the team that you're working with,
Mm-hmm.
they're not seeing it in a negative light when you're exposing what a lot of times back in the day people would be like, these are trade secrets.
Yeah.
Don't show people how
No,
to
now
do this.
I feel like they perform better because they're like, no, we gotta do this awesome
And when
because
we
it's
look
gonna
good,
be
yeah,
out
we're gonna be
there,
on the internet.
you know.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly.
so, and then I think also like what's helped me with when I started my own company was, before like you know I was working for somebody else, so I was under like their shadow and like their rules and like the way they do things, and I respected that.
Right.
But now I feel like I can be myself more.
Yeah.
And I think that's being actually welcomed a lot. And
Right.
with my clients, like they appreciate that I'm myself. Like I can be funny with them and I can be super honest and clear about things. You know, like if something was delayed, I just tell them, hey, this is happening, but don't worry,
Right.
I got it under control, and they trust me.
I think a lot of times now, because that's the same way with a lot of my clients,
Mm-hmm.
or I think it's a generational thing, right? Where we've changed and we're not keeping everything so formal
Mm-hmm.
or corporate. Maybe some of our clients still have to fit that corporate cookie cutter
Right.
format. However, they're into the same things when they get off of work. Or
Yeah.
they ride motorcycles or
Right.
or whatever. They have tattoos or they like to shoot guns or whatever. Not even guns or whatever. You know, we've been talking too much about guns on this podcast lately, but just their interest, right?
It's like subliminal.
They've gone to the same they've gone to the same bars or you know or whatever. They do the same things, and you realize that they're normal people. Before you had to put a suit on. You didn't know anybody about that background. They didn't have a social media. They didn't be like, hey, hit me up on
Oh,
Instagram.
yeah,
right?
you're right.
So you had such a formal like almost like a barrier there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it was like looked down upon when you were either putting trade secrets out there or reaching out to that person
Yeah.
and being like, hey, oh, you seem pretty cool on the back end. Like,
Also,
you know, like,
yeah, because I mean, I can understand to a certain extent, like, keeping some secrets
Right.
that are obviously benefiting you.
Right.
And like they're yours.
But look.
But sometimes like being open about what you know doesn't mean that person's gonna be able to take it and run with it.
Exactly. Like if I see what Joe does, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me go buy a camera. I can do that too.
Yeah.
Right? Or I can see what you're doing. Let me go buy those machines.
Yeah.
Or, I'll get started tomorrow.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
You guys hit the nail on the button. If you are good at what you do, just because I can tell you how to do it, you're not gonna pull it off.
Right.
Yeah.
You can teach me anything you want, Vince.
Right.
If it's not, if I don't practice
I
can't do it, man.
You could even give me the camera setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could run with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not moving in and out the way you would know to move in and out and
Yeah.
like angle it and change certain settings and stuff at the
Yeah.
on the fly.
So we can all agree, when you get to a certain level of like mastery, you feel it. You're not thinking about
Well, you're not
the
so
numbers
stressed out
Yeah,
about-
you're going with feel now.
Right.
When I do things now, it's all about feel.
Right.
How I feel about it. Instead of in the beginning, what's the measure of this?
Right.
I'm like measuring everything.
It's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you already
And
know.
then also you
what to
just
do.
like he said, you have a little bit more confidence
Yeah.
in what you're doing. It allows you to not be so focused on that, and then you get to do what you already know, and then you keep just kind of learning more,
Right.
as you go. Because in my sense, like the projects, like the bigger projects, there's a lot of monsters out there that I have no idea how to handle yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But it'll come to the day that I do. And like, those new big monument signs that they put by the 110 with the big LED screens and it has a YouTube
Right.
logo.
Yeah.
Those, dude, that's a monster of a sign. And the stuff that goes, first of all, these are like minimum. How many? Like 4 of them,
Yeah.
I think. Like minimum $300,000
Each.
signs each.
Yeah.
Minimum, like
Right.
that's like the cheapest bid, I
wonder
think.
who got the contract on that.
And then
dude.
second of all, the amount of like engineering that went into it, the amount of back and forth, the amount of approval, and the amount of like city work, the amount
That's
of
this guy. He's gonna be next on my podcast.
And
By the way,
then,
that's Freddie in the background.
Dude, that you're
Freddie.
talking about
He
a
approves
project
building
that
plans.
probably took 2 years or so for us to finally see it there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that project probably started 2 years ago, at least.
Yeah, at least. And that kind of monster, I've never had, dealt with something like that before.
Right.
I know a little bit just because I know some companies that are in that level,
Right.
but not enough to be like, oh, I know exactly what's going on. So I don't worry about that right now. I'm
Right.
just trying to do what I'm doing now. And then when it comes to learning that, then I'm going to learn that.
There's an old saying, don't dig the roots, pick the fruits.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, sure.
and, like
Yeah.
stuff you don't know, don't go too far
don't
deep.
go-
Well,
don't
that's
dig
that's a
crazy.
lot. Well, that's dude. That has. You can apply that to literally everything going
Yeah.
on today, right? So like people today are talking about, did you see this, and that? Well, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? You're not gonna do it. Oh, I'm just trying to, be like, okay, that's good. Now, how does it affect you in your daily life?
Correct. What are you
Don't
gonna do
get-
about it?
What do you are you, okay?
Well,
so now that
we agree on that, but
Yeah.
to most people, that's a very passive way of living,
right,
and it upsets people.
I know yeah.
Because they see that you're happy with no matter the circumstances,
Right.
and it
Or-
makes
or
people angry.
Not
They're-
necessarily that you're happy, but you know what? It's
Well,
it's like even that
there's like-
prayer that what is it? God, help me change the things I can change, accept the things that I can't, or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I know
I'm
what
not
you're
super
talking
religious anymore, but
Yeah.
but
But when you
that-
were, yeah.
how old school is that scripture, dude? Right?
but it rings true to this day.
It rings. Excuse
To
me.
this
It rings
day.
true. If you can't do it, like okay, so if there's things you can do, you can vote about certain things, you can change things.
Yeah.
Things that are in your realm, right? That you can change if you're there, right? And you can make a difference. But if you can't make a difference and you can't make a change and you're not going to be the one that's starting the revolt right now, then what are you wasting your time doing? You're not wasting your time being productive. That's for sure,
Yeah.
right? So.
It's like right now, like you think I want to wear a mask and hide this pretty face? No, but I'm gonna wear a mask and I'm not gonna be that guy that goes to Costco without a mask.
Right. Get
Depending-
yelled at.
yeah.
At least
Like
I can
everybody-
still see my eyes.
Yeah, like my chinky eyes,
Yeah.
whatever, man. Just control what you can control,
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's true.
And why are you stressing yourself
Yeah.
so much about it?
People
Why?
do that, bro.
They stress
Why?
out so so
Yeah, they
much.
do.
It's so retarded.
It's like we're on the same boat. We're on it together.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, but don't you? Okay, I saw it. Yeah, I read it. Yeah.
and they get upset when
They get so
when
upset.
like they get upset when like a guy like Vince is just so nonchalant about it. Like,
What am I gonna do?
Especially Vince.
What am
We
I
all
gonna-
respect
yeah.
him so very much.
What am I gonna do? Okay, do you want me to go to the White? You want me to go to the White House right now? I'll go to the White House and I'll yell.
That's why-
from across the. You can't even go to the fence of the White House.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be across the street and be like, "Hey, this isn't what you're doing. Isn't right." And then people are gonna be like, "That's not enough.
Yeah.
People are
You
gonna be like,
That's all you did.
Yeah.
You should have ran inside the White House."
you never
Like,
know.
you can
Everybody
you can never
thinks-
appease anybody. then.
Everybody thinks they know how to do it better until you have to do it, and then you realize it's a lot of fucking work.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Well,
dude.
yeah.
Right?
And that's why it's like I remember at some point I got caught up in like looking at what everybody else was doing, like, dang it, how did they get that job? Like, oh, how come I didn't get that?
Just don't worry about it.
You know what I
Just
mean?
worry
But
about.
that was way back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one day I just started focusing on
Look, before
like
we
loving
run
what
out of
I
time,
already had. and it
before we
just
run out
came.
of time, I just want to put this in there. It's funny how the universe works, and you experienced it, and I'm sure Vince experienced it, and I'm sure Freddie experienced it. The minute you make a choice, and sometimes the choice is not sexy, like you're like thinking about paying rent, but the minute you throw it out in the universe, the doors will open. I can't even like all the stories I hear.
didn't know paying rent was sexy.
Yeah.
No. But once
No,
you
I
made
feel you.
that choice, you
Well,
said,
hold
I'm gonna
on.
do this.
Let me add a disclaimer
Go
to
ahead,
that,
go
Jack.
ahead.
A disclaimer.
First of
Make
all-
it really small font.
First of all, really small. No. First of all,
that timer's out. But
First
it's
of all,
still
you have
recording.
to
Go
have confidence in yourself and your abilities, right? And then you also actually have to know what you're doing.
Correct.
Right? And then that you created a circle of people that believe that you know what
Yes,
you're doing.
yes.
Okay? Because you like, come on, because there's people that talk about putting stuff. I'm gonna own a mansion and a Learjet in 2 years, and they go because I put it out to the universe. It's gonna happen.
No.
sure. No.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right.
yeah.
So,
You're
so,
right.
but I get what you're saying because
Yeah.
I did similar to what Mars did when she left and decided to go on her
Yeah.
own. And when she was saying that she thinks that it might have been a bad decision at some point, right? Because then she was worried about having to pay her rent or whatever the case may be because she was like she no longer had anything to fall back on. I was in the corporate environment for 15 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had Draken I was involved in Draken, but not as much as I am now, right? And because I had a fallback, I was always going back to my corporate job and then helping out with Draken on the side, right? And when I decided to go and say, okay, I'm not going to have a fallback, I put my 100%,
Yeah.
well, maybe like 90%. you know?
Okay, well,
Yeah. The majority of
110%.
right? Because we never ever, none of us ever put 100%.
Well, speak
We're
for
not
yourself.
Elon.
Hey,
We're not.
hey, speak for yourself.
We're
bro.
not
for
Elon
yourself.
Musk.
Speak
right?
for yourself.
But if Elon Musk found time to have a wife and a kid, he still hasn't
he
put 100%.
not only has a wife and a kid, he has like 5 other ones
Yeah,
and
exactly.
2 other wives.
So he hasn't even put 100%, right? Because that means you would dedicate none of your
that
time.
means we would already be going to Mars.
We would be at Mars now. Yeah, exactly. So 90% of my time, right, into Draken, and I said, well, this is all I got now, right? I mean, I can go start hiring process again if I want to, but I'm not, right? So back to what Mars said, sometimes you think it's a bad decision, but that's what it takes, I think, to put yourself out there and then that's what it takes to make yourself successful when you put
Yeah.
it out to the universe, right?
So with
Right.
that being said, I want to thank Mars for
Thank
coming,
you,
Freddie
my
for being a
pleasure.
good fan.
He's
Right.
a good
And
clapper.
we're definitely gonna interview him next time. You said.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to thank our amazing host, Vince, with his
Vince,
knowledge
the
and
man.
wisdom.
And
don't
before
forget,
we
guys.
before we leave, do you have a website?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
sciencefrommars.com.
There you
Okay.
go. So the website is also Sign from Mars, and that's where you can ask for RFPs.
Yeah.
Right. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
All
Sweet.
right, guys, over and out. Next
See
episode coming
ya.
with Vince next Friday or Thursday.
Well, we're gonna shoot for Fridays, but
All right.
we put the episode out a couple days after, anyways, right? So
All right,
Taco
so
time.
we're signing out. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I
Peace
hope
out,
this
everybody.
was inspiring. Okay.
Bye.